This episode of the Math Together show is brought to you by Exemplars, rich and engaging K-12 math performance tasks. Welcome to the Math Together show, where thoughtful educators gather and learn together. I'm Heidi Subnani.
I'm Sue Looney.
And I'm Molly Vokey. Thanks so much for being here today. We are going to be talking to Khadeejah Smith today, and she's going to be answering this question, which is a super interesting question. With the increase in dependency on technology, are our children losing their grit to push through conceptual skills in math education? So this will be a really fun conversation.
Yes. And so we would love for you, if you are online watching now, let us know where you are watching from. Feel free to hit like and make comments, and we'll try and include them in the show whenever possible.
Awesome. And we would love to support you as educators in the hard work that you do. We have resources and things available. If you wanted to hop on the mailing list, it's super easy to do that. You can text Looney to 22828, and that gets you right on that mailing list. And the other opportunity that we have that we're really excited about is a summer institute. We're calling it Emerging Stronger. So for June, we're actually full and closed. We have over 70 educators joining us to do the work of reimagining as we get that opportunity, and just feeling prepared and honoring and celebrating everything we've been through. So we have another second session that's not full yet. That is in August. And if you want to know more about that, you can go to our website and check that out. And the website is right there for you, www.looneymath.com.
Hey,
excellent. Molly is going to introduce our guest.
Yes. Excellent. Khadeejah Smith has been an educator for over 15 years in the Metropolitan District of Columbia area. She began her teaching career in Boston Public Schools, as a high school math teacher. Khadeejah's experience expands from high school math, homeschool early childhood, middle school math teacher, instructional coach, and principal. She brings a diverse view to education from public, charter, and private sector. Khadeejah is also known as EdGap Closer because she is committed to closing the achievement gap that exists between African American, Latinos, white, and Asian students due to the lack of equitable resources and opportunities presented to these two groups. Khadeejah brought, I don't know if she says GRIT or Grit Parent Vlog this past summer to encourage parent engagement that would extend beyond the school walls. Each video is designed to assist parents in preparing Generation Z children for navigating life with grit, real-world experiences, independence, and critical thinking skills. Let's bring in Khadeejah. Hi, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we are so glad to have you here with us, and appreciate you giving of your time and your expertise. And we would love to start with this question. It allows our viewers to get to know you and what you are all about and why you do what you do. So our first question is, what is your why?
So when I became a math teacher in Boston over 15 years ago, and I've always been in STEM education I'm a STEM principal, right? I work and lead at a STEM school. So what I've noticed year after year is that our children are I have to teach more of the pushing through difficult tasks, about how to analyze questions in the math material. We know the content hasn't changed, right? But how do we get students to understand what is happening? And what I've noticed is not necessarily they don't understand, like I said, the content. Is their ability to analyze the world around them. Is their ability to take in information and push through difficult tasks without being like, I give up, I don't want to do this, where's the calculator, right? That attitude about it shouldn't be this hard. I don't understand why it's taking me more than 2 minutes to do. This microwave culture, this just thing of it shouldn't be this hard. And how do we get kids to just sit in that difficulty and sit in that space of, okay, I don't know, but I know there's an answer and I can figure it out, right? And that becomes from their everyday life. That's not something a teacher can teach. from the first day of school and then end after 180 days. And what I realized with Grit Parent and my why is that there are things that parents can do at home that can get to the heart of that pushing through, that can get to the heart of that conceptual understanding, that can get to the heart of, if I start these small challenging tasks at home, by the time they get to school, those are transferable skills. Mm-hmm. By the time they get to school, it's not hard. The teacher doesn't have to pull teeth to be like, okay, let's think about this in a real world terms. Let's think about this in what you would do. Like trying to put themselves in spaces, and I intentionally do this with my children, where they feel uncomfortable, where they feel like they have to grapple with information that they don't know. So that's what I do, Grit Parent does. I manufacture experiences for my children to grapple with difficult things in their everyday lives. So that's my why.
That's awesome.
It is awesome. It is awesome.
And so I think that really just, you just sort of kicked us right, you got right into it, Khadeejah, right into the heart of the question. So you already started talking about this. I'd like to pull apart this part right here. Our boy, that's a tongue twister. Our children losing their grit. So have you noticed a change? Was there like a certain point when you started to see, I feel like we're trending in this other direction and I want to reel it back? Or is this something that you've thought about for a long time?
So this is things that I'm noting that we're trending, right? Because a lot of parenting is getting difficult, right? And more moms are becoming entrepreneurs and, and parent, the whole family structure. So I don't even want to, it's not a dependency on a mother, right? Yeah. So the family structure is changing, right? And we're getting more, innovative in how we do things. So the amount of shoelaces, I went to take my children to get shoes the other day. The amount of shoes without shoelaces is decreasing. Why? Because we don't have time. Like, just put them on. I have to get you to soccer. I have to get you to gymnastics. I have to get you to school. And what that does is it makes us efficient, right? So now I can get the Velcro shoes, or I can get the ones with the, with the elastic lace that doesn't look bad. It's super trendy. But what skill did I take away from my child from learning? What skill did they stop grappling with because I picked the Velcro? And don't get me wrong, sometimes you do have a Velcro, but most of the time, all your child's shoes shouldn't be Velcro, right? So also I'm walking through and open up ketchup and mustard packets, right? Because our students are like, can you just do this? Like, I don't really want, but there's a science between the balance of opening up the mustard and the ketchup packet. And if it spills on you, you applied too much pressure. So why am I? And that's a learning.
I literally had trouble with one of those today. I'm not even kidding you.
You have to learn, right? So what skills and just in this, I'm learning that more students are asking me for like how to unbutton their, like, can you help me? I have like pre-K 2 through 8th grade. So can you help me unbutton my pants? Well, why do we lose that? How do we lose that? We're struggling with unbuttoning. And certain times, yes, but I'm noticing it's increasing dependency on just simple tasks that we no longer spend the time and just sit down and teach, right? Why teach shoelaces when I can give them this, right? And also, I'm not going to say technology is all bad. So I just want to just be very clear. I'm not saying, but there needs to be a balance. Whenever there's not a balance, we have already created a dependency. So most of the time I'm like, okay, so how much time did we spend on the technology and how much time did we spend on just being with ourselves, right? Because in order for innovation to occur, you have to spend time with yourself. So our children are playing with innovators from other people who spent time with themselves, who spent time analyzing the world, who spent time looking at how people interact with things. So and came up with ideas. So if our children, technology has made our children empty, busy, like there's just a busy emptiness, right? So I got 6 hours on this game. Now I know how to go to level 5. What skill is transferable for you getting to level 5 that you spend 2 hours on that we can really use in the classroom to really hone in? And maybe there is some small soft skills, but also with that balance, you have to spend time with yourself to figure out what your creativity is. How does our children get to talk to themselves about bringing up what their talents are, what their gifts are, if they never sit with themselves? And technology is that empty busyness. So also, just to go back to the question in just terms of like, I just noticed it's just, I need to be doing something that has nothing to do with moving you forward towards critical thinking or moving you toward just to be busy. So I've seen that dependency on asking things like, just not following simple directions. Like, to get a child to follow simple directions, I need you to get to the pencil and then I need you to sit down. Huh? What? Okay. And I know I've spoken to my teachers about that. They were like, they just don't follow directions. Our children literally get papers and start working.
Mm-hmm.
And I literally trick my children, give them something that they know, but their directions are different. Why aren't you looking at the directions? That's important. That's a small but important task. Even adults don't do it. I do it to my teachers all the time. I didn't ask you to fill that out. Right? Because we are so used to just being automatic. But for younger kids, reading directions is a skill. Communicating back and forth with eye contact, right? Because technology also doesn't allow you to communicate. And I can't have more than a 1 second, 1 sentence conversation with most of my students. I'm like, today, it was good. I know you all get this, right? It's fine.
Right.
I know. We did something. We went outside. Because it's that pause that is needed for us to sit down and really talk and invest in those social, in those tangible, in those souls. I know it seems so small and mundane, but they're so necessary. Because most of our math concepts we spend on what? Those are long questions, right? We call them BCRs, right? Brief constructive responses. But if I don't ever speak, I can't write. There's a writing and a speech connection. So if I don't speak for long periods of time, you're going to get one-word sentences because that's how I speak.
Right.
I'm not going to explain because I never have to do that in real life. I don't have to explain my thought process and how I came up with that information because I don't have to do that in real life. So now as a teacher, I'm pulling. Okay, so what happened? So explain. If everybody can do that at home, there's nothing for a parent to go, okay, so how was your day? It was fine. So what exactly happened? Did somebody make you laugh? How's this friend? And that comes with questioning. There's a bunch of, if you Google questions, there's a bunch of questions on the internet to really hone in on. Stop asking questions that will give you a one-word answer that will cause your child to think. That's a long
Yeah.
No, well, but that's what it is. I totally remember having conversations when my kids were little about the shoe tying thing, because sometimes teaching them to tie shoes is a nightmare, right? And that's why people don't do it. But I remember having conversations with other moms and being like, should we buy the Velcro? Like, I mean, that's for real. It is.
But it is. No, it's, I'm not saying everybody should get now shoe tying shoes, right? I'm saying pick what it is, right? So I'm not going to do the Velcro shoes, but I will sit down and talk to my child and I'll put, one of those timing things that we use in games.
Mm-hmm.
And each day I'm just going to increase the time and I'm just going to just talk. And I don't care how silent it gets and how uncomfortable it gets and how annoying they seem to be at me. I'm going to do it until they start perfecting it and asking me questions back. Because when you get stumped and you don't know what to say and you say my day was fine, ask me how my day was.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good way to ask. Ask me how my day was so I can get to talk. And then you find a keyword and then use that as a question, because I'm going to get a keyword from you and use that as a question. And that's how conversing happens, right? So that's how dialogue happens. And that's a real world skill. Like, I had to literally, and it was like pulling teeth. I was like, oh my God, I don't want to talk anymore. Like a bad marriage. Like, I don't want to talk anymore. Just stay on your side. I'll stay on my side. But as much as possible, sitting in that, and as much in times where there's no technology that's really needed, don't use it. Like, I see people now, and I don't know where this has come from. And I know with small kids, you might need to do that. You might need to circulate it around. But you're out at a restaurant, you don't need that iPad. Do not pay to take that iPad off the table. Certain restaurants now have the iPad at the table where you could just use it. Now, if you want to use the iPad and say, okay, you're going to have a 5 minutes while I talk to you because you have multiple children, then that's fine. Get that one-on-one discourse. Because what discourse does is allow us to understand how our child thinks. I need to learn how my child thinks. Once I learn how my child thinks, I can now support them in different ways. I can tell the teacher how to support them in different ways. It is so powerful to know how your child thinks. And you can't know how your child thinks if they're regurgitating what they saw on TV or what the video game tells them. And even if it means the initial dialogue shows me how to play this game, tell me how you play this game. I want you to walk me through how to play this game. And that's how it starts out. Because I don't know where I do car line at my school. I put a child in the car, they get an iPad in the back, music goes on, drive away. But that initial 5-minute conversation is so important because as soon as your child sees you, they want to connect, they want to tell you about their day. Yep. But depending on what the routine is, it'll shut them down, and that's okay. So I just, as much as possible, conversation. I do riddles because I'm not going to lie, I'm not perfect because it became uncomfortable. To have long conversations, it gets uncomfortable. Yeah. So now I was like, okay, so I'm gonna have riddles in the car. So I got 10 riddles. I'm like, we're gonna work this out, and it passes the time. I'm only 15 minutes from my school, so I give them riddles. Like, hey, and you know what riddles do? It's a play on words. It's always a play on words. My favorite riddle with the kids is John lives in a 1-story house. The dining room and the kitchen, the dining room and the bedroom are on the first floor. What floor is the kitchen on? First floor. Because it's a 1-bedroom house, like it's a 1-story house. So it's like, so it's like one of those things where you have to pay attention. And what do we teach our kids in? We have dictation. They have to pay attention to words. So now I just helped your English teacher, right? Because you have to pay attention to how words are being used. And that's important. How words are being used. Logic puzzles helps math all the time, right? If I go to the store, I get chips. I have chips. That means you had to go to the store. So it's like one of those things, like logic is so important, especially for geometry. It's like the proofing. And now they've moved away from proof, but the proofs are still in the formulas, right? So if I have, this is an equilateral triangle. So what assumptions could you assume? Because you're supposed to assume things. So all the angles are equal. So that's some things that kids can automatically make assumptions. And there's certain things in logic that it makes those connections. And that's everything that parents could do at home. You don't have to be an educator to do this. You don't have to, the answers are there, even to the riddles. The answers are under. It goes riddle, answer. Right? So it's not something that, oh my God, educators, the only people that can do this, the educators. These are things that real life parents can do as they're just driving home, as they're sitting at home. Hey, put that away. Let me ask you a question real quick. You know, I have this problem. Solve this for me really quick. So those kind of things are that's where my passion is, right? Everyday parents, everyday people, what can we do to support education? What can we do?
I think that's so interesting because it's a different approach from things that might feel intimidating to a parent, you know, that you're supposed to like know the new math and going down that road that I will not go down right now because it's not really new. But I can have a conversation about, you know, it would help my teacher my child's teacher if we engaged in more conversation. Like I can have that thought in my head and then I can work on it. So you convey these messages through a series of videos. Is that correct?
I do. I scale back a little bit and now I'm coming back. So just little videos, things that I've done. Also fostering independence, right?
Yes, I was going to ask about that.
Right? So I'm all for independence, right? Because I intentionally say, if you're the more independent you are, you start to own things, right? You start to feel like ownership. And I can't tell you how many math teachers tell me, I just want them to own it, right? I just have them own it. And ownership is not just a school skill. None of these skills are school skills. That's the part of it, right? Nothing that we're trying to teach in math, nothing that we're trying to teach in school is just the depths of knowledge are not just school skills. There are things that we can do. So if I teach you how to cook, that measuring, that paying attention, that analyzing, that's all, I can use all of that.
Yeah, that staying by the stove so nothing burns.
That, not even.
That's a hard lesson learned.
That equilibrium, that equal like gas, fire, like electric, like am I medium at low? Where am I at right now, right? And I can't put too much sugar, because if I put too much sugar, it just throws everything off, or just that accountability. So I measurements for rice. Rice is the hardest thing for me to cook. So if I do the strict measurement, I can't eyeball that. So my kids were like measuring rice. We're measuring, my kids like to make cookies. Start out what they like first. My kids love cookies. So we found this homemade cookie mixture, and we're just measuring. Oh, so what's 2/3? Okay, do you see that 2/3 in a cup? Which one's bigger? That kind of conversation, like that doesn't take anything. You're looking at it. It's a cheat sheet. A cup, 2/3. Like it's just one of those things, like, or 1/3. That is just like, it doesn't take anything. And you're learning too. As a parent, I get to learn too. Mm-hmm. Even if I'm not good at math, and I dread when parents say that to me. Oh my God. I'm not good at math, so they're not going to be good at math. Me too. Yeah. I'm not good, so they're not going to be good, so I'm not surprised. Well,
right.
It's like it's a born skill, right? So it's what you decide. So even if you have to learn together, you learn together, because even them getting past that intimidation factor is something I can use. I can use that. And if you tell me as a parent, oh, we tried spaghetti, so now I'm going to use spaghetti in my math. Now we're going to talk about spaghetti. Because the truth of the matter is, if I can make it a memory that sticks, that's what's going to make the difference. If I can hone in on a memory that you have based on something that you did and experience, it'll stick. Mm-hmm. So just making things, and I teach my children how to iron, teach my children how to, wash their clothes. Not all of them. So let me just say, it's not a sweatshop over here. I'm just saying.
I'm glad you cleared that up.
Right, we were worried.
But I just also believe that as parents, you shouldn't be the only one doing the work, right? Yes. We get stressed out and we get resentful. I'm not going to be the only one doing the work. And if I ask or I need a day off, I know that the house is not going to break down. Mm-hmm. So teaching them a meal, teaching them how to do a breakfast. I know my child has one breakfast under his belt. So if that one day I don't want to do breakfast, I know he can have one breakfast under his belt, and he does it strong. But also, he's not intimidated by getting new tasks at school. Mm-hmm. Remember, your mother told me that you have that one breakfast. I need you to go at this like you got that one breakfast. So and it gives me, teacher, I get experiences and I get knowledge that I can use to help a child hone in on those things also that they do. So now when I send my math, tell me all about, like in the beginning of the year, tell me something about your child. I can say they know how to do this, they know how to do this, they know how to do this. And I can use that. That's ammunition for a math teacher. I'm like, great, I'm going to use you in the story. I'm going to use your mother in the story. I'm going to use your cousins in the story. Everybody's going to be a part of this story math problem that is going to engage you. And now I know you'll have some kind of buy-in. Like I get that buy-in that I need.
Mm-hmm. Khadeejah, it's so interesting how you decided to focus on almost like parent education. We mostly end up talking to people who, are either educating students or educating teachers, but your perspective is a little bit different. How did you decide to go down the route of educating parents?
I realized that that's the missing piece, right? I feel like every stakeholder is being PD'd except for the parent. No, seriously, everybody has a PD in order to keep their job. Everybody has a PD except for the parent. Nobody has the PD for the parent. Like other than, can you just show up? Can we just? And I just feel like, and I want to take the intimidation factor off, right? So if you don't speak the language, if you don't know the content, that's fine. Anything you have, we can use. Mm-hmm. Whatever it is you do, we can use. We just need to show you how to use it, because everybody washes dishes, everybody washes clothes, everything I'm saying you already do. Now incorporate your child in it. Mm-hmm. Don't let them sit on the sidelines and just watch you. Mm-hmm. Incorporate them in that. Incorporate them into the discomfort of, I don't know what to do. How do I do this? Like I literally my daughter we're in blended, so they have to go to school 3 days a week. So, and I go to the same school, they're at my school, so they have to come to school with me. So she has a laptop, a snack bag, because we're not allowed book bags in there, right? So a snack bag, a laptop bag, and she has whatever little trinkets she has in her little purse, right? So she's walking around with these 3 bags, right? And I say, she goes, I need help. No, you don't. You have everything you need to figure out this problem. What do you need to do? Mm-hmm. Right? I could have solved the problem and say, why don't you just consolidate? Because that lunch bag could go into that trinket bag. So you only have 2 bags and it's a backpack, so it can go in your bag.
Right.
That's mom in me wanting to solve the problem, but I'm taking away from important information that she's going to need to transfer in another part of her life. So I'll be there to support. Of course, if it's dangerous, you want to intervene. But if it's things like that, you go, I think you can work it out. I think you're not looking at something that you can do to solve your problem.
That's so powerful.
It is. I need to stop saying, why don't you just? I must say that. Why don't you just? I just realized I should stop saying that. Okay.
Well, what happens, and I'm going to forget the exact research. I was listening to something the other day, but we graduate kids from high school and they're actually not ready for college because somebody has always solved their problems for them. So that's why I think that is so powerful to say to a child. That was very empowering what you said to her. You said, I think you can figure this out. Mm-hmm. That's fabulous language too. That's conveying power to her.
It's also super simple, right? I mean,
yes.
That's not complicated. Anyone can do that. And actually, the lazier you are, the more independent your kids are. Like, you're doing it very purposefully, but I know that parents, when there are lazy parents, their kids just learn to do the stuff. They have to cook dinner. Right? Yeah.
That's true. No, you're absolutely right. But now that you have, and it just seems like the more money we have, the more resources we have, the less independent our children. And it's like, no, like, I know I could do this. I know I could get somebody in here. I could get help. I could pay for somebody to do this. And sometimes you should. But then sometimes you should get that person a day off and say, you do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've seen us do it enough.
I'm looking for a day off. So
my children are young adults, and when they do these things for themselves, they're really proud of themselves. When they clean their apartment, when they cook dinner, when they do those things, they actually take tremendous pride in those things. So
and there's immediate, satisfaction in those things, right? You clean your apartment and it looks beautiful. You can look around and see your work. And if you make a great meal for yourself, you get to eat it and there's reward. Like there's so much power in that immediate, not feedback, but immediate whatever.
Yeah. And it does take, I'm not going to say that it's just immediate, right? So my child has decided that she's just going to carry all 3 bags. Like, I'm just going to work it out. You're not going to help me. I'm going to carry all 3 bags. But that's even a learning experience for her.
Yeah.
Right.
When she drops that 3rd bag.
Or if that took a lot of work. That work, but she made a decision to do it on her own. Right? I thought I had a different, I told her what my situation was after she made her decision and walked. But at the same time, now she owned it, right? And a part of you, and more importantly too, as you said, a great point, Sue, right? Because when you go to college, you want to be so sure, right, that you're sending your child off to a space where they're not going to drown, right? So I rather know in my house where my work is, where you're going to drown while you're with me.
Yep.
Right? So I'm going to see where you're going to drown. Like, okay, so that didn't work. She seems to be stubborn on that part. So we're going to probably work on that. So this is just collection that I'm taking. Like, okay, well, maybe we need to, try another situation. Maybe I need to give her something to bring downstairs. So I need to see where my work is, right? Where else can I support, right? So I need to know how she thinks. So the conversation tells me how she thinks. Then situations tells me how she maneuvers, right? Where my work is. So those same skills that I'm looking at, I know that parents go to school meetings and like, yes, I have the same issue. He do not listen. I'm like, yeah. So it's just everybody's being PD'd, and I feel like parents don't know when do I enter? Like they're like hesitating. They're like, do I go now? Just call me if there's a problem. They'll rather just sit on the sidelines and go, okay, tag me in. All right, there's a problem, rather than saying every day you can do something. Yeah. So you can work on that skill too. So I would encourage math teachers. Sorry, I would just encourage math teachers to find out what. It's not that they don't get the concept. What are they missing? Are they not critically analyzing? Are they giving up easily? Whatever that is, I would give that to the parent, right? So what is the skill, the real life skill that is being missing there? What's the disconnect? And try to give some, okay, so when you're at home, just, let them work through that problem. Let them sit in for 5 minutes without helping them and just see what they do, right? But stand by them so they see that you're supporting them, but say, I believe in you. Just work a little 5 more minutes on that. Work 2 more minutes on that. They don't have to get the answer right, but you want them to push through their limitation a little bit longer.
Yeah.
That's great.
When you have to see kids, I think, fail in a space, because sometimes I think as parents we think, well, they know how to do that. Like they've seen me do that, right? Like I know that, like there's a famous story of how I learned to cook in my own family growing up, because my mom was quite sure that I knew how to make grilled cheese, and I was like 12, and this is a long time ago. So, they left us home and they said, make grilled cheese for your brother and sister, and you know how to do that. Yeah, totally. I've seen them do it. I've never made it myself. Totally never actually done it myself. I've seen it made. I've eaten it. Like I have an idea about it, but I put a frying pan on. I filled it with like a 1/4 inch of oil. I buttered both sides of the bread. I turned it on high, and I big fat pieces of cheese, and then I burned it. And then I
learned a lot about ratios that day.
Right. So like all of the, so my siblings will tell the story. I'm telling you now, but it's like that whole thing of like, I thought I knew what I was doing. My mom thought, because she has like shown me, like I've been around when she's done that, but I've never actually done it when the fact that I didn't burn down the house is like a miracle. But it's just this like whole thing, like big black billowing things of smoke, right? Because high oil, butter, like, but we didn't, like, complete disconnect in what I thought I knew and what she thought I knew, and like the actual reality of what that situation was. And so like since then with my own kids, I'm like, okay, like let's figure this out while I'm here and watching you. Right. And now like that's been the thing we've learned in COVID. Like, okay, they can get up, they can make themselves pancakes, because I hate making pancakes. But like they get up and make pancakes. Like they know how to do it. Like they can make beans and rice for lunch. Those kind of things are now, I know because I've watched and turned down the heat multiple times, like, okay, this is see how that's boiling over? Like, let's do something about that. But we have to like balance those. Like it's a huge mess, right? Like it's a huge mess after that. And so
cooking is a quick learning,
like how, but giving them those opportunities to fail when we're there, when we're like, and like we do that, I think, within the math classroom a lot of times. Like, okay, I'm going to give you an opportunity to work at something and have it not go well, but it can't be just one classroom or one opportunity. We have to learn that life has a lot of failures before we get to the thing that actually works.
Love it.
I completely agree. That's a great example. And the best math classes I've seen teachers, students just they go into the class, a teacher puts up a problem they haven't seen, or they know certain parts of it, and they just work it out in their little groups, right? And if I'm not used to that type of grappling, right? Like, tell me what you need me to do. Tell me how to do it. Give me the steps. And I think so many of our kids come into the class of, just give me the steps. Give me the algorithm. Just give it to me. Just give it to me. And rather than, I'm so used to just working it out and being coached, right? Because in that moment, you're a facilitator and a coach, the teacher is. And that's what your mom is doing, right? So when I'm watching you, I'm coaching you, but I'm steering to the side, but I'll intervene if it's dangerous. But I'm sitting there being a coach because you saw certain things and I'm talking you through certain things. But that grappling with stuff is transferable. Like, oh, this is me cooking again. Okay, so this is me doing the beans because I overspilled on the rice again. Like that kind of thinking is not a math thing. It's a life thing.
Right.
It is. You know, it's so funny. We're kind of rounding about because Rhonda chimed in at 7:06 and she said, yes, transferable skills. And here we are ending with those transferable skills, right? So how can we learn more about you? Where can we find you?
That is my edgapclosest.com is my website, but I'm transferring to KhadeejahSmith.com just so I can bridge out more of who I am, because EdGapClosest just like pigeonholes me into something. So it's KhadeejahSmith.com. My Instagram is Khadeejah Smith. You can find me on there. I'm uploading more videos now that I have more time. Sometimes it's like my time for content more than anything, because I get to just really have more free time as a school leader. I'm just more flexible. So you can find more. And I would just hone in on something. I encourage parents right now, pick something that you're going to take off your plate for the fall. Pick something that you can teach right now that you're going to take off your plate in the fall. I have decided, and I might change this, to take ironing off my plate for my 12-year-old because he wears uniforms. And I don't like ironing the shirts anymore. I'm done. I don't want to do it. Those shirts take me all Sunday. I'm so tired.
Yes.
If I can get him to iron like a shirt, I'm going to get him to iron a shirt, right? And people are like, well, why don't you just take it to the cleaners? No, because he can learn something. So he's going to have to learn how to do that. So pick one skill that you're going to say, you know what? I'm taking this off. Even if it's just like they know how to pack their snack, maybe not their lunch, but if you have small kids, they know how to grab a juice and a snack and put it in their lunch bag. You have taken something off your plate. So encourage that. So that is it. And also, last word, if you're a parent on here, I know technology is awesome, but balance is essential for any child, any child. Even eating healthy has their own balances, right? So, just to, because chocolate brings joy, sugar brings joy, right? So you need to balance. It does. It makes you feel all good inside. So even everything has balance. And technology gives us access to everything. And it's up to us to mediate that as the adults and understand that there is skills that they need from you that iPad doesn't have, that a game doesn't have, that only we can. And they get that from intentionally sitting with them and doing it, not observation, but I'm going to be intentional about having a conversation. I'm going to be intentional of how you discuss ideas with one another, how to talk to a opposite sex, right? Just how to do those things with one another. And I'm being very intentional that you don't learn those things outside of the house first. I get to dictate the narrative. Parents, you get to dictate the narrative. And I guarantee you, whatever you teach, let us know, let a teacher know we can use it. That is great work. Like, that's great resources. Oh, so you talk to your mother all the summer? Okay, great. We're going to use that. Like anything we can use. Math, we want to create stories. We want to put your child in the story so we can get the engagement. So share. So after that, then share.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Khadeejah, thank you so much for being here. That was a really fun conversation. It felt so personal about, reflecting on my own parenting. I really enjoyed it.
So thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity. It's not about big or small. You just thought of me and I appreciate that. I am honored and humbled. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Welcome. Thanks so much for being here. We enjoyed.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
All right.
That was fun.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So you can learn more with us if you'd like to, and you can find us at our website, and there's information about summer opportunities as well as lots of free resources that you can check out while there.
Yes. And next week, oh my gosh, it's going to be June 9th next week. I don't know what's happening with time. We will have T. Din with us, and she's going to be talking about playful math. So I hope that you can join us. And if you can't, please listen to the recording. So thank you so much for being with us tonight. And remember to always be curious.
Thanks, everyone. Good night.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.